maybe we'll start by, I'll invite you all into a meditation, a conscious meditation, being really in this moment now. So you can close your eyes or keep them open, or go back and forth between eyes open and eyes shut. Doesn't really matter. You understand what meditation truly is. You realize that it's just being alive and present in this moment now. So pay attention to the sounds around you, the sound of my voice, how it comes and goes out of silence. My voice comes out of silence and dissolves back into silence. The sounds of your own room, where you're zooming from. Any sounds there, notice how they come and go too. But you, the awareness of the sounds, the hearing, are always here. Now pay attention to the sensations and feelings in your body. Maybe there's a tightness in your shoulders or in your stomach. You feel your buttocks on the chair you're sitting on. Just tune into that. Your butt on the chair. Now shift your attention to your jaw. Notice how your jaw is it tense or is it relaxed? Then shift your attention to the palms of your hands. What's the sensation and feeling there? And just notice how all these sensations and feelings come and go, shift and change. But you, the awareness of what's happening, are always here. Finally, then pay attention to the thoughts in your mind. Notice how thoughts too come and go. They shift and change, rise and fall, appear and disappear. Even the I thought, the me thought, the thought you most personally identify with, comes and goes. But you, the awareness, are always here. And as you kind of embody this awareness, you are more and more, you realize that you and the universe are one. You and your universe are one. When your mind is really quiet, you're just present. There's really no difference between you and the world around you. You and it are one. It's one beautiful flow. And then just open your eyes and be here. So the title of my talk was The Secret of Aging Gracefully. I'm 73 now, I'll be 74 in November. So I'm acutely aware of I'm getting older. I know many of you are much older than me even. I remember I was always the youngest person what I did. I was the youngest captain in the New Zealand Army when I was in Vietnam. I was the youngest person in my class, went through school and through elementary school and high school. And now I'm usually the oldest person around in my circle that I move in. So things change. So, you know, I'm a writer. I've written books, and in fact, my newer book called Untriggerable is available as a PDF free for anyone who wants it. Just email me, jdreaver@aol.com. I'd be happy to send it to you. And my life was really a search for enlightenment, freedom, awakening. I searched for 20 years. I met Jonathan early on my search. Jonathan and I have known each other since 1985, I think. So we go back a long way. We had the same teacher, Jean Klein. And I finally woke up. I finally found what I sought in 1995, in the spring of 1995. What I found was this. I found that everything between my ears was not real. It came and went. Thoughts came and went. Even the I thought, the me thought came and went. So I realized I was not my ego. I had an ego. I have an ego still. I have an ego, of course. We human beings have egos, but I knew that I was not my ego. And that was a great freedom that I opened up to. Wow, I have an ego, but I'm not my ego. Because the ego is the source of all suffering. It's a source of much pleasure, of course. When things are going well in our lives, we feel great. Right? Everybody wants things to go well in their lives. But when they don't go well, when you have a disease of some kind we have to grapple with, or we lose all our money, or we go through a divorce, these are times of great suffering. It's always the ego that suffers, the I that has expectations, has goals, has dreams. I want this, I want that. But this I is actually an illusion because it comes and goes, shifts and changes. It's not really real. You can't actually find a thought anywhere. Yet we, as awareness, consciousness, beingness, are still very much here. I just came up with another subtitle for my book, Untriggerable, this morning. I'm now thinking about calling it the revolutionary key to the peace that passes understanding. The revolutionary key to the peace that passes understanding. Because once you awaken to who and what you really are, this awareness behind everything, the coming and going of everything. There is a peace that passes understanding. It's the peace that comes from truly being. You're resting in being now. You're awake and free. You're resting in being. It's all because you saw through what you're not. You're not anything that comes and goes. You're what is always here. Right now, in this very moment, we are this. We're never not this. The quickest way to find this freedom, come upon this freedom, is in our very triggers, which is why my book is called Untriggerable. Because essentially when you awaken, you become untriggerable. You're still human, you still have moments of being triggered, but you quickly see that you're not that. Someone calls your name, insults you, you take it personally because you still identify with your ego. So there's moments of being triggered, show you where you still identify with your ego. This ego I, this me that you think you are, we think we are. So you learn to welcome your triggers because it's showing you where you're not yet free. Whatever triggers you, you learn to welcome it. So I invite you now to look within. Close your eyes and look within and ask yourself this question. Where was I last triggered? What triggered me most recently? Maybe it was someone who insulted you or someone who made you angry on the freeway. Maybe you're someone rejecting you. You look at that situation and realize that that was then, but this is now. Being triggered, there's always someone who's triggered. You have an image of yourself. And that very image of yourself is what's in the way. The image gets triggered, and of course, the triggering is experienced in the body. Is it not in the stomach, not an anxiety or fear in your chest? The thing that attracted Jonathan and me to Jean Klein, my teacher, was the fact that I would say that this, certainly I was attracted to this, that he had no image of himself. So this is the readings from the Tao Te Ching from Jonathan and Dana. You learn to have no image of yourself because then you can flow with life as it is. Part of the secret of not being identified with your ego is having no image of yourself, no self-image, right? People are always going on about self-esteem and self-image and self-worth. But if you have no image of yourself as anything, then you're free. So back to triggers. So I would invite anyone to share who wants to risk opening up themselves up to a moment of transformation, maybe. And I can help you see that the reality of this, that the situation was real then, when you're a little kid or you're a little child. It's not real now. Only now is real now. So if anyone who wants to share, we can work on this process of examining how the trigger came about and how you can be free of it in this moment, free of it permanently. Anybody want to share? Anybody willing to be vulnerable? Brene Brown wrote delivered a wonderful TED talk on vulnerability. You have to be vulnerable in order to open up to the true beauty and depth of life. So I invite you again to close your eyes, breathe and relax, and ask yourself this question: how free am I? How free am I? Then allow the answer to honestly percolate up at the depths of your consciousness. one of my favorite Zen stories. I think I've told this story before on the Mastery Circle, but it was worth telling again. Right? Good stories are always worth telling again. Two monks were walking along by a river. One was an old monk, wise and enlightened. The other was a young monk, a novice. He came across a young woman who stopped them and said, "Please, sirs, kind sirs, could you carry me across the river?" That stream was very shallow at this point. She said, "I don't want to get my kimono wet because I'm going to meet the parents of my fiance." And the older monk said, "Certainly, we can make a bridge out of our hands and carry you across." And the young monk frowned and went along with the older monk. They carried the woman across the river, put her down. She bowed deeply. "Thank you so much." We went back on the other side of the river, proceeded to walk along on their way. And about 20 minutes later, the younger monk, who had been stewing all along mentally about this, what he perceived as breach of the rules of conduct, touching a young woman, he stopped and said to the old monk, "You know, I didn't supposed to touch young women, let alone carry them across the river." And the older monk looked at him and said, "Why? You're still carrying her. I put her down by the river." "You're still carrying her. I put her down by the river." So this thing of ego, awakening is all about seeing that you're not your ego. You have an ego, but you're not your ego. You have an I thought, but you're not your I thought. In my private sessions, that's the main focus of my work. I work with people on seeing where they're using the I or me thought, and we're not realizing it. We're so identified with our ego that it becomes a deeply ingrained habit. Yeah, that's all it is. It's only a habit. We say I, me, without even thinking about it. I'm this, I'm that. I remember Jean Klein wrote a book once called "Neither This Nor That I Am." Neither this nor that I am.
Jim, Patricia had her hand up to speak. I don't know if you saw it.
I didn't see it. Tricia.
I didn't want to interrupt you. I was very triggered recently. Can I share that with you?
Please.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
The other night at 1:30 a.m., my roommate's alarm rang. Briefly, stopped, and then again at 1:35, stopped, and then again 1:40, 1:45, every 5 minutes. I was quite triggered.
Yes, I'm sure you were.
And so I stopped, I breathed deeply, I looked at my body sensations, and I knocked on her door saying, "Please stop your alarm." There was no answer. It was 2:30. I was still ringing every 5 minutes.
Yes.
And it's torture. It's against the Geneva Convention, actually. And so I was so awake and with all these feelings coming to me, and I decided to watch a movie. And the movie, in a video on my phone actually, and the sound of the movie muffled the sound of the alarm, and eventually I fell asleep, and it might have stopped around 3 a.m. The next night, it started at 2:30 a.m. And I decided this is a problem. This is the way I look at life. I did the same breathing, looking at my body sensations. I need to solve this problem. What are my resources? I looked up in the internet what to do in this kind of situation, and I called the police. The police arrived at 3, and after 3 actually, and they witnessed the alarm, and they knocked on her door. Perhaps she took sleeping pills, I don't know, because she didn't answer, and they said they couldn't do anything else. But it's important to communicate with her, but we did. But we, the people in the house, we all share in the house, that we live as a community, but obviously she doesn't. And after that, she stopped. She put a Ring camera on her door, so the next day she might have seen the video of the officers at her door, and she stopped. But it was very interesting to see how it affected me physically and emotionally, because I was like that monk carrying her in my mind.
Yes.
Because this happened on Thursday and Friday, and I'm still ruminating about it, and so I'm wondering, the threat is gone. Why am I still dealing with this? And I think that's why that documentary about Andy Goldsworthy was so touching to me also, because I could observe how he was so open to letting go
Yes.
of non-attachment to his artwork, and that's what I'm working on at the moment.
Is it a spiritual community you live in?
Excuse me?
A spiritual community you live in?
No. No. I wished. They are not.
Okay. Can you just be present now?
Mm-hmm.
Just breathe and relax and come into now. Let's come into this moment now. And just realize that the ego, the I, the me, is always thinking about the past and the future. It's really satisfied with the present unless its needs being met. If the present moment feels good to it, it's happy. But that's what boredom is, right? Boredom is the mind being restless, looking for something stimulating to do. The mind always wants something to do. But we have a mind, but we're not our mind. This has to be understood. We have the awareness, the changeless awareness behind the coming and going of our minds. And that's the essential thing about people who've woken up. They realize they're not their ego. They have an ego, but they're not their ego. So you can just write that down. You have a pen and paper in front of you.
No, but I'll write in my phone.
Let's say actually this is being recorded, so you can listen to this again. I have an ego, but I'm not my ego. And then that leads to the question, So what am I? And that is for you to discover, my dear. What you'll discover when you search for who you are, you're not this, you're not that. You're not your ego. So you're not any of the things that your ego thinks you are. You're not beautiful or plain, or these are all judgments about of the ego. Judgments we make about people. Oh, she's beautiful, she's plain, or whatever.
Mm.
He was handsome when he was young, but he's not really good handsome now. All these judgments. Judgment's the one way the ego keeps itself alive, keeps giving itself a reason for living. So who are you if you're not your ego? And this is a question that applies to all of us. Who are we? And what we discover is if we go deep enough, we are the changeless awareness that's present here now. And as awareness, awareness has a certain vibration of it, to it, a vibration of being, of balance, of harmony, of equanimity, of the Tao, the vibration of the Tao Te Ching, pure beingness, pure awareness, pure consciousness, pure light. That's what we are. We're always this. And so the more you abide in the now, just breathing, being here now, the more you feel one with the now. And you realize, wow, this feels good. Just being, just to be. And then out of our beingness, we do what we need to do, what needs to be done, right? Cat needs to be fed, the car needs to be gassed up, a partner needs to be spoken to. We need to call a doctor. We think about what we need to do, we take action, we do, and then we have the results of our doing. And the results may hopefully, when we come from a place of being, what we do usually turns out well. We have the results, we're happy with the results. We're happy already because we're established in being here now. Established in being here now in this very moment. But when we live from our ego, which is the lot of most people actually, the ego is always thinking about what needs to be done. And then we have the results that we think will allow us to be happy. So we get it the wrong way around. We do have be. Now, being happy is always dependent upon the circumstances then.
Yeah.
How are you feeling right now?
Good, enjoying this very moment.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Anyone else had their hand up who wants to ask a question?
There's Bonnie.
Bonnie.
I find for me it's very hard to let go of past expectations. Two main things now, that and Joel is not at all into spiritual at all. And when I'm listening in these to like talks such as yours and wonderful talks, No, he kind of mimics it. I've had so many messages through my life that what I'm doing or saying is wrong. And I guess that's ego. I just want help and just letting go and not let be either not have negative expectations, but also I'm so sensitive to others around me. I guess in trying to make it, maybe that kind of sums it up.
Yeah. You're a deeply sensitive soul, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, let's just take one thing. What's one thing you'd like to let go of?
I guess right now, um, hmm, um, not not feeling that I have. Okay. Sorry. Yeah. Um, I guess feeling that everything around me affects how I feel rather than just being inside.
Yes. So you'd like to let go of this feeling of everything around you affecting you in some way.
Mhm. Yes.
Just breathe and relax now, in this moment now. Breathe and relax. Close your eyes if you like, and just come into the fullness of your being here now. Beyond ego, beyond thought, just being here now. Breathing and relaxing into this feeling of being here now. Fully relaxed, open, aware, conscious. Just breathing into this moment now. How do you feel right now?
On one hand, more relaxed, and on the other hand, kind of feeling very vulnerable, not from our talk, but
Yes.
everything around.
Yeah, of course. So just focus on the relaxation, focus on the feeling relaxed. Just say, good. Just breathe and relax. Breathe and relax. Breathe and relax. And just enjoy the feeling of being relaxed in this moment now. Your ego comes and goes, but the awareness you are always is. So just be the awareness you are, be the beautiful, radiant, luminous awareness you are. Open your eyes now. How does it feel just being this luminous awareness you are right now?
That feels better. I still,
Yeah, of course.
but it kind of feels like a path. There's a path to
Good. So, do you have a pen and paper in front of you?
either that or I can type on my computer here.
You write this down. Be the luminous awareness I am. Be the luminous awareness I am.
Be the luminous awareness that I am.
Yes, be the luminous awareness that I am. Luminous, Luminous.
Oh, sorry, luminous, not
Like-
illuminous. Sorry.
No, glowing, luminous.
Okay, sorry. Yeah. Okay.
So read it out to me.
Be the luminous awareness that I am.
That's your meditation. Keep coming back to that. Okay, throughout the day, just keep coming back to just little moments of meditation. This is your mantra. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? another story about Jean Klein. He was giving a talk one day back, and I heard about this. He talked back in New England, I guess to about 80 people, and this man put up his hand and said, "Jean, every time I come and hear you speak, you seem so relaxed and radiant and at peace. Me, I'm always miserable, uptight, caught in my head, my story. What's the difference between us?" And John looked at him and smiled and said, "You still take yourself to be somebody. I don't take myself to be anybody."
Jim,
Yes.
in my relating with Jean, yeah, he said all of these things, but there was such an energy behind what he said, at least with me, where it shook my world. It wasn't just the words, it was, you have to stop trying to be somebody. It was like, it rocked me to the core.
Right.
You know, and so today in your sharing, for me, you're directing us back to ourselves as opposed to the story that I may be caught up in,
Right.
and feeling more my own presence, shall we say, so that when it happens again, because it's going to happen again, right?
Right.
I can turn and open again to myself. Is that making sense?
Absolutely it is. Yeah, sure.
Danielle.
I keep coming back to the question of how to respond to people who want to drag me into their egos and their drama and their stories, and actually put me at their mercy if I don't.
Right.
That's what I think the biggest struggle I have. I can detach and I can let go and I can be no one. But when I need to live in a society and society demands that I am an ego and I am someone, and I pander to their egos in order to let me live, I don't know what to do with that so much. I mean, I can let go of it, but letting go of it sometimes is detrimental to me, and not to me, to my life, not
Right.
to me as my spirit.
Good. So, by the way, Daniel and I do private sessions with each other, so this is good, and we're bringing this now to the fore now. So, who is this I that gets dragged into others' ego?
I suppose it's the I that needs to make decisions about how I'm going to continue living. I guess I'm talking about the ego of physicians. I mean,
Yes.
Yeah, so, you know, I have an opinion and an instinct and a feeling of what's best for me, and I need science to save my life. And quite often, mixed in with a physician's advice, there is a physician's ego and a physician's other motivation than my life.
Yes.
And it's being able to stand my ground without jeopardizing what that physician can actually help me with.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, I can let go of that physician and say, you know what, I'm not going to use your services, but then maybe I'll lose my life. So I'm trying to find a way to be and a way to respond and a way to dialogue where I can bring out the most love and the most
Yes.
care rather than the ego.
Right. Beautiful. So this is good. So this is so we've talked about this in our session, the distinguishing between the egoic I and the practical, loving, conscious I, right? Because we have an I thought, but the more we know that we're not our I thought, the more we can use our I thought consciously. I call it the functional ego, the practical ego, the loving ego. You know, there's a saying that the ego makes a very poor master, a very good servant. And that's a good thing for us to remember. So the more present you are, the more relaxed you are, the more the functional ego, the conscious ego becomes available, the practical ego, the I, and the more you know the difference.
Thank you, Jim.
You're welcome. Always good to see you, Danielle.
I know exactly what I'm working on now.
Beautiful. So anybody else? So this thing about the conscious I, the conscious ego, and I use the conscious I myself. You know, I had to buy a newer car recently, so I had to buy a car, but I know that I'm not this I that has to buy the car. It's in a way you learn to use thought consciously. It's a very conscious use of your thoughts, the power of thought. Because I think the thought I've got to buy a new car or a different car, another car, and then you come back to the thought comes and goes, the intentions put out there, and you come back to being, pure being. So basically your mind is about 80% quieter because there's no me, myself, and my story anymore. Freed of the me, myself, and my story component, your mind is much more empty and available to powerful intuitive thinking. That's a practical benefit of this awakening. Imagine a mind that's available for powerful intuitive thinking. So this is it. The more we see another ego, the more powerful our presence becomes. I remember getting a quote in the email, my email from a friend from Alan Watts, who said something to the effect of, which is more powerful, your presence or your productivity? And the idea was that the more present you are, the more powerful your productivity. The more present you are, the more powerful your productivity. In our Western culture, we tend to focus on productivity rather than presence. And really, this group's Master Circle is about bringing more presence to everything, to our sharing, to our lives.